Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. On this channel I talk about pop culture, movies, music, comics, retro culture, all kinds of stuff like that, but I talk about VHS a lot, mainly because I wrote a book called VHSatemybrain, and there's a revised edition of that coming out soon. On this episode I want to talk about the scene itself. I've noticed it's changed. It's changed a lot since my early days in picking stuff up. And I want to talk a little about that, because this is a scene that I didn't think would really grow as it did. I thought this was something about as niche as it gets. I started VHS collecting in like the early 2000s because I was in a really low-paid job and I needed some entertainment. And for me, that was going to charity shops and finding VHS tapes for like 10p, 25p, and then I had an evening's entertainment. This is, things have changed since then with streaming services and things like that. It'd be a lot easier now to find things, but I wasn't doing great, and I wanted some entertainment that I'd not seen, so I made a point of going out and buying VHS tapes that I hadn't seen before. And also I had a lot of love for video stores from my days renting videos back in Metro Video in Hillsborough, where I grew up. And it grew from there. When I heard that Metro was closing down, I wanted to buy up a bunch of the tapes that I'd rented as a kid. So I went and bought a load of those, and it was all good. It was a really nice thing to do, a really good way to spend time. And I do miss those days of being able to easily find tapes out in the wild. Then, as things moved on, I discovered the Horror VHS Collectors Unite Facebook group, the notorious, infamous, glorious, crazy place that group is, and discovered that I wasn't alone out there. And this ended up leading to the book being written, and that's what led to VHSatemybrain existing. Just I wanted to capture this weird little niche hobby, and it caught on. It found an audience, and I didn't realise that VHS tapes still meant so much to a lot of people out there. So I'm going to have a look now at we're going to have a look online at some things and see how far the hobby has changed, see how much the hobby has changed. So in Google here I've just got VHS collecting, and straight away you can see the effect that these things have had. The most important tips for new VHS collectors: collecting VHS tapes, learn from what to look for. I'm stuttering tonight, I don't know why. You can see books coming up there, VHS collecting, VHS cover art, VHS mini magnets, introduction to sealed VHS collecting. Are VHS becoming collectible? Let's have a look at that. There is a resurgence in VHS collectors according to movieweb.com, clinging to the outdated form of media, and nostalgia is on the rise. What else have we got? Yeah, so MovieWeb, let's open that up and have a look at that. VHS collecting, a visual guide to retro home media, antique trader. That's crazy. VHS fast forwards latest collecting craze. See, a lot of these are coming from like the last year or so, which is interesting to me because this has been 20 years or so for me now. Reddit is VHS collecting picking up steam. VHS collectors and traders on Facebook. That's interesting. Let's open that up as well. Medium, the horrifying world of VHS collectors. Rare VHS collector on Etsy. It's on Amazon. It's all over the place. These things were culturally massive. This was a huge thing throughout many years, and lots of people growing up with VHS tapes around and video stores around. And it's when people are reminded that these things existed that, oh yeah, I had good times with that. And that nostalgia, it kicks off the collecting need in a lot of us, what it did for me anyway. Because I was always familiar, I always loved the format, going to video stores, buying new tapes and whatnot. And it's just a very special thing. Let's see what else there is. So you can see just from online here, there is loads of stuff available for people that want to check out VHS tapes and things like that. I know in the States that you can still find them in Goodwill stores. You can't find them in any charity shops here that I've been in years now. They've stopped carrying them. Some places won't even carry DVDs. Some places have stopped accepting donations of DVDs. There's just been such a glut of them. I think there may even be more DVDs out there than there ever was VHS tapes. There must be, because they're so easy to replicate, no moving parts or anything like that. So there's a lot going on in VHS collecting. Back in the day, God, I sound old. When I was doing it in the first few years, there were people like Lunch Meat. So go to lunchmeatvhs.com for the greatest VHS place you will ever find. If you can afford postage from the US, I recommend anything from their store because it's awesome. Lunch Meat is a brilliant example of how a love for VHS has been done right. This has been done really well. So Josh Schaefer, who runs Lunch Meat, did the artwork for vhsatemybrain, the original version of that, and the Lunch Meat brand has just grown so much. And honestly, it's tapes, stickers, VHS magazines. There's so much stuff on there, and Lunch Meat itself has created this sort of brilliant community and really been a passionate ambassador for the whole hobby. So shout out Josh. But there are more places like this. There's videocollector.co.uk, which is sort of like VHS Wikipedia, if you like. There's news articles coming out from all over the world on different news outlets, such as this one here. What's this one? On MovieWeb. You know, worth the watch. Back to the Future. Everyone's seen Back to the Future. But there's articles all over the place on how VHS is coming back, and the interest in it has been, you know, is on the rise, and it's been on the rise for many years now. Now, this has been a little point of debate amongst some collectors, and there is a bit of a grey area with it. Are people just into it because a lot of these things can be worth money? Do people just get into these things because they want to sell them, want to flip them, or do they have a genuine love for these things? Now, personally, I do have a genuine love for VHS tapes, and the whole culture of them and everything about them I love. We know this from watching my channel, reading the book, anything like that, or the column I had in Scream magazine, which continued vhsatemybrain. I've got a copy of that up here. I've been going through old horror magazines, as I generally have, so lots more gore zones. But yes, back in a few years ago, I was writing for Scream magazine, which extended the life of vhsatemybrain, and one of the reasons it became sort of my brand, because I want to capture these things for people. There you go, this vhsatemybrain, the column. I've always wanted to capture these people and share a love for these things with people, and it's through things like having a column in magazines like that, people like Josh at Lunch Meat and a bunch of other people, even like some of the DVD companies that are digital companies like 88 Films and Arrow. They're maintaining that love of the video store through their exemplary releases of a lot of movies that people just wouldn't see otherwise, and I really have a lot of respect for that. There's a great community around it all, and I really appreciate seeing how excited everyone is about it. So we know you can find stuff on eBay. We go on eBay a lot and find VHS. Let's have a look at let's go and see what the highest price is at the moment on a tape, just out of curiosity. VHS, whoops, and let's just see what the highest price is at the moment, just out of curiosity. And these things can be quite crazy. So highest price, let's see highest price with a bid on £333,773.57p. No. Let's see the highest thing with bids on at the moment. £8,000 for a Beauty and the Beast. See, this is a great example. People think that Disney tapes are going to make a fortune on it. They're not. They're not. Factory Sealed Jaws trilogy. That's interesting. These are crazy. There's lots of watchers on things, but no one bidding on these things. They're just crazy prices. They're not going to do it. But let's come away from there because that's frightening. I'm going to go to Amazon and show you some of the content that's come out around VHS collecting since I put the book out. Was vhsatemybrain the first of these books? I like to think so. I don't know. VHS collecting. Let's see what happens here. So we get this new book up that came out, well, newish, in 2020, VHS Collecting: The Modern Relevance of Home Video. I hope they do very well out of it. I got there first, but I'm kidding. But there's documentaries, there's this great book on VHS video cover art. sworn there was more of these. Let's have a look. Let's just do VHS. There's still a lot of call for VHS to DVD converters. There's the VHS Nasty one. There's of course the VHS Movies, VHS Love, Cult Cinema Obsession on Prime Video. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of like documentaries and movies about these things. VHS Lives, a schlockumentary. You might have to have a look at that one. Starring Phil Anselmo, Lloyd Kaufman, and Jane Balsamo. Fair enough. There's like knockoff movies. I find it interesting that the entire aesthetic seems to have been taken on. Just, you know, the grainy image, the flickering, the tracking, things like that. And let's have a look at books. What comes up in books? VHS book. Now, VHS My Brain probably won't come up, as I have ended the existence of that, the original version of the book. It may come up in second-hand ones. So we've got VHS Collecting. There's lots of Nun Massacre, charming. There's lots of like VHS inspired stuff with like VHS cover inspired artwork and things like that. VHS Nasty, the video nasties. There's merchandise made up like VHS stuff, and it's just amazing to know that this is all out there, because I couldn't imagine at the time, back when I was buying tapes for 25p, that these things would be a thing. You know, it's crazy. And yet here we are in an age where we have things like straight to video from my buddy Rob, and the 80s video shop from Rob and Chris in Alfreton. And there are other places like this springing up around the world. There are people that have got video stores in their basements, or they've got their home video store set up. I'd love one of those. Don't have the space at the moment, but we'll get there one day, I promise. I love it that these things really generated a lot of love and a lot of pleasure in people, and I find that really, really compelling. And it's impressive that it's just nice to know that I'm not just a weirdo looking at ancient old physical media. Well, I am really, because I know I'm far from the most sane of people, but that's fine. Let's go over onto YouTube, and some of the creators I found on YouTube recently have been really heartwarming to see. So VHS Mikey comes to mind. So VHS Mikey, really nice, cool guy. Loads of stuff to check out on there. Loads of videos about the VHS love and appreciation for physical media. Who else have I found recently? Fanzine? Was it Fanzine? I can't remember. I can't remember what it was called now. But there was a Fanzine made a really good VHS documentary. Let's have a look here. Of course, there's Adjust Your Tracking there. I wonder if that's official. That my name's in that somewhere. That is a really good documentary. That's my favourite one out of all of them. You've got video stores of the 80s and 90s. You've got Why We Still Love VHS 5 months ago. That's Fanzine videos. There we go. That's the dude. You know, Why We Still Love 80s movies. Collect the way you want to collect. That's the thing with collecting physical media. It's always, for me, been a very personal thing. It's not been like I must have this, so it's a status symbol. It's always been about what kicks off that nostalgia for me, what kicks off that feeling of connection to something that I loved in the past. That's why I love this stuff. There are so many videos on there, and of course a channel I have been on a few times, Video Tasties. This is a really cool channel. Gareth, that runs Video Tasties, is what a dude. I must go hang out in his loft at some point. If that's alright, Gareth, I'll come around and hang out. Video Tasties is always posting retro content, like pickups, best top 10 videotape box sets, adverts. There's all kinds of stuff, and he does a lot of he does a heck of a lot of live streams where people can just go along and chat, and it's been a great pleasure being on that channel a few times. You can see there's loads going on. Carry On Girls, classic. You gotta love a Carry On movie. I rewatched Carry On Camping a few days ago, and I just don't regret loving Carry On films. They are what they are. They really are what they are. There was a good one. The VHS tape chat. Oops, bring this up a bit. X Rentals with VHS Mikey. The 80s video store, and Rob's vintage video. Please, I'll put a link to this video in the show notes below, actually, because this is a really good chat, and you'll see me pop up in there as well as Planet Hex, joining in with the conversation. And it's just very satisfying to know that these things are still out there and being appreciated. See, I know a lot of people may still have a box of VHS tapes in their loft, but what sort of connection do you have to those tapes? Are they something that you went out and actively looked for? Are they something that you remember spending like family evenings together around watching favourite tapes or anything like that? Do you remember meeting a special someone and watching that tape together? Do you... that's Horror VHS Bundle. Let's have a look at that while I'm talking. Do you remember a specific moment in life? Like for me, for a while when I was living on my own, before I met my wife, I had a lot of British comedy tapes, as well as all horror movies and everything like that. That was, of course, horror is always going to be my big thing, but I had a lot of British sitcom tapes, and I found something comforting in those sitcom tapes, because outside of my flat there were people burning cars. There were people fighting and rioting, and there were drugs going on outside. There was vandalism going on all over the place, and I felt trapped because I was far away from anyone else in my family. My friends were all the other side of the city and things like that. It wasn't a great place to live. By the end of it, it was at the start where I was. It was a nice place at the start, but by the end of it, it was just a really frightening place to be. So it was in those sitcom tapes that I found a great deal of solace, because I could put those on, turn them up, and it was something pleasant, and there were people there with me. They were my friends in the telly. That's not what I mean, but it was comforting, and it got me through some really hard nights, because that's just what things did then. Oh, let's have a look at that one. That's what I needed. That's what I really needed at that point, was an escape, and VHS tapes have always offered me an escape. Way back as a teenager, I would rent tapes 3 at a time. I'd get something recent, and then I'd get a couple from the 2 for £1 room upstairs at Metro Video, just so I could escape what was going on in life, be it family illness or things going on outside the house or trouble in my personal life or anything like that. Tapes, films, TV series are always there for me to just take the edge off. Not to escape reality entirely, because that opens up another frightening kettle of fish, but just to offer a respite from the craziness that life is. And as I've got older, and as time has moved on, it's only ever got crazier and more mad. So there's nothing wrong with sitting down, sticking a tape on, or indeed a movie. I am still moving more and more back towards physical media. I get increasingly freaked out by streaming services, because while they do offer a lot of entertainment, I don't appreciate being tracked by algorithms, but that's a personal thing. Oh, 600 tapes. I wonder if there's any gold in there. We'll have a look at that too. And it's really been interesting seeing how the scene has changed over the years, from this little niche thing that was just a few hundred of us scattered around the world, or what it felt like, to being this that's thousands of people all over the world, in every country, media outlets. It's been talked about on TV, in newspapers, remember those? Magazines, websites, endless Facebook groups and Instagram posts and YouTube channels and documentaries and all kinds of stuff, where people have woken up and thought, oh my god, this stuff was really good. A lot of effort was put into these things. People really enjoyed them, and you didn't get a related advert. If you watch this tape, you might like this. You didn't have to sit through, I don't know. It's just, I miss it. I miss the video era, and I always will. I say that a lot on this channel. I do, but I really do genuinely miss it. I found so much solace, and I felt it was a safe space for me, where I could just relax, where I could work out my own weirdnesses and my own ideas, and just find my way through life. These things are markers along the way, and I do still see it that way. But it has been a fascinating journey, seeing this thing go from this little tiny niche subject into this flourishing, recognised hobby. And now, almost 9 years since I put out the original VHS Ain't My Brain, people no longer go, oh, VHS tapes? Really? When you say you're into them, they might go, oh, I've heard those are worth money. You know, at the very least, they might say, oh, and I hear those are worth money. But and often you'll still hear people saying, I've got a load of those in the loft. It's like, let me have a look. There might be something fun in there. So, if you are collecting tapes and you're feeling a little out of sorts with it all and not feeling like you're really part of anything, you really are. You really are. Go check out the documentaries, the books, the fanzines. Go check out Lunch Meat. Look up on Facebook and different social media platforms about VHS tape collecting. These things are great. They're great historical artifacts. They're satisfying to hold. They're a lot of fun to have. And I'm just really pleased and amazed that the scene is still here. Let's see what this other seller's doing. I really greatly appreciate the fact that while they're no longer really available, oh, Zone Troopers, they're no longer really available out in the wild, there's still loads available online, and that is heartening. It's heartening to know that I'm not really going to run out anytime soon of these marvellous things. Zone Troopers was a Full Moon movie. Empire movie, around that era. Marvellous. I see people had hundreds of these, and these are going to appeal to lots of different people. People that like dramas, or action movies, or martial arts movies, or cartoons. I like a bit of everything, to be honest. But these are just so cool. It's nice to see them all together. Yeah, granted they're not all ex-rental ones. I do have a preference for ex-rental tapes, but it's just, it is what it is, and I really appreciate the fact that people are still bringing these things out of their retirement so they can find a new life, because that's what they are. They can come and live with us collectors. Yeah, I know you want to get rid of them. That's absolutely fine by me. That's absolutely fine by us. Just let us know. Don't just fling them out into the bin, because they will bring joy to someone. And tapes do really bring joy to me, and I greatly appreciate it. And I greatly appreciate you guys for listening to this tirade. I've possibly had too many coffees today, so I've been a bit stuttery. I do apologise. But yeah, go check things out. Find something that connects to you, and never feel alone in your collecting. We're out there. We're out there, and we're just like you. Thank you for watching this episode of Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. Please do like and subscribe if you like this sort of content. If you like to see a bald Yorkshireman ranting about VHS tapes for ages. I put these episodes out each weekend where I talk about pop culture and stuff. In the week, I usually do some reviews. I haven't the last couple of weeks. I've had a lot going on at home, but those will return next week, hopefully. And I'll see you again at the weekend for another episode of Planet Hex. Thank you very much for watching.
The future has already arrived. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and validate my existence.